To get his revenge, Amleth branded himself with the mark of a slave using a red-hot iron. Disguised as a prisoner, he threw himself into the sea and swam toward a ship carrying enslaved people to Iceland. While the crew struggled with the sails, he quietly climbed aboard and blended in with the other captives. That night, a woman named Olga realized he was no ordinary slave. Beneath the dirt and chains, she could see he was actually a Viking warrior hiding his identity. Even so, she stayed silent, almost as if she believed their destinies were connected. Soon after, the ship was caught in a violent storm. The crew drifted helplessly for days before finally reaching the harsh shores of Iceland. Waiting there was Fjalnir, now known as Fjalnir the Brotherless, along with his men. Olga quickly understood that surviving this place would be impossible unless they trusted each other. After arriving at the settlement, Amleth intentionally drew attention to himself. He wanted the overseers to notice his strength. One of the guards forced his mouth open to inspect his teeth before punching him hard in the stomach. Amleth didn't react at all, and that alone proved how valuable he was. Because of his strength, he was kept as a laborer, while Olga was sent away to work in the kitchens and laundry. From that moment on, Amleth took on the harshest jobs imaginable. He hauled giant stones, cleared land, and worked without rest. But revenge kept him moving forward. Every painful moment was part of a much larger plan. As he worked, he secretly studied the settlement and memorized everything around him. Then one day, through the window of a house, he finally saw Fjalnir being cared for by Queen Gudrun, his own mother. Even then, Amleth held himself back. He knew that rushing in blindly would only get him killed. Following the guidance of a mysterious seer, he went searching for a weapon connected to his destiny, a cursed blade known as Draugr. That night, he entered a hidden burial mound deep underground. Inside, he discovered a corpse sitting on a throne with the sword resting in its hands. But the second Amleth reached for the weapon, the guardian of the tomb suddenly came to life. The battle was brutal. The creature moved with terrifying speed and fought like something from a nightmare. But Amleth relied on pure instinct, strength, and years of survival. Slowly, he gained the advantage and finally defeated the guardian, claiming the legendary sword for himself. Even with the weapon in his hands, he knew the time for revenge had not yet come. There were too many guards, and the risk was too high. So instead, he hid the sword inside the roof of one of the buildings, deciding to weaken Fjalnir from the shadows first. Because this wasn't simple anger. This was revenge that had been growing inside him for decades. Years earlier, around the year 895 in the North Atlantic, Amleth was still just a young boy waiting for the return of his father, King Orvandil. When the king finally returned home with his warriors, Amleth was overwhelmed with excitement and rushed to tell his mother, Queen Gudrun. Orvandil was welcomed with a massive celebration, and as a symbol of victory, he gifted Amleth a valuable necklace taken from the battlefield. Not long after, the king's brother Fjalnir arrived. Known for his cruelty, Fjalnir was also one of the kingdom's most feared warriors. He came with his infant son, Thorir, and that night everyone celebrated together with a grand feast. But Orvandil had been badly wounded during battle. Knowing that his death could come at any moment, he began preparing Amleth to inherit the throne. He took his son to a sacred place where they participated in a strange ritual. Together they behaved like wolves and drank a mystical potion given by a seer. From that moment on, Amleth was no longer treated like a child. He was given a purpose. Orvandil told him clearly that if he were ever killed, Amleth must avenge him or live forever in dishonor. As part of the ritual, Amleth touched his father's wound and experienced a vision of the kings who came, but suddenly, mounted warriors attacked from a distance. Arrows rained down everywhere. Orvandil ordered Amleth to run while he stayed behind to fight. Hidden nearby, Amleth could only watch as his father was surrounded. The attackers wore masks, but their leader finally revealed himself. It was Fjalnir. The betrayal was real, and it had been planned all along. Even in his final moments, Orvandil showed no fear. He cursed Fjalnir, warning him that the stolen throne would never last and that his death would one day be avenged. Without hesitation, Fjalnir killed his own brother. After Orvandil's death, his followers immediately switched their loyalty to Fjalnir, praising him as the new king. Then Fjalnir gave the order to hunt down and kill Amleth. And this is where the Real story begins. This is the Northman. Hearing his uncle's command, Amleth hid inside a small hole to avoid being discovered. But he was eventually found and nearly killed. Still, even as a child, he fought back like the son of a king. With a quick strike, he sliced open a soldier's nose and escaped. When he returned to the kingdom, everything had already changed. His father's loyal followers were gone, and Queen Gudrun had been taken by Fjalnir and forced to become his wife. To survive, Amleth disguised himself beneath a red cloak and stayed hidden. Meanwhile, the wounded soldier who failed to kill him lied to Fjalnir, claiming that Amleth had drowned at sea. At the same time, Amleth escaped alone across the open ocean. As he drifted through the endless waters, he repeated a single promise to himself. He would avenge his father. He would rescue his mother. And one day, he would kill Fjolnir. Years later, in the land of Rus, known today as Russia, Amleth had grown into a terrifying warrior. Alongside a group of Viking fighters, he participated in a brutal raid against a fortified village. Without hesitation, they climbed the walls, slaughtered the defenders, and burned everything in their path. Among all the warriors, Amleth stood out the most. Years of pain, survival, and training had transformed him into something relentless. That night after the battle, Amleth sensed something strange coming from one of the houses. Inside, he encountered a mysterious seeress who reminded him of the vow he had made long ago: avenge his father. As suddenly as she appeared, she vanished again, but her words gave him a clear purpose once more. The following morning, the surviving prisoners were gathered together to be sold as slaves. Some of them were being sent to Iceland, the very place where Fjolnir now lived. The moment Amleth heard that name, everything began to connect. Fjolnir, once a powerful king, was now known as Fjolnir the Brotherless. He no longer ruled a mighty kingdom. Instead, he controlled only a small settlement in Iceland alongside his wife and son. The great throne he stole had already fallen apart, just as Orvindil predicted before his death. And in that moment, Amleth realized something unbelievable. His chance for revenge was finally within reach. Back in the present, after hiding the sword safely away, Amleth waited patiently for the perfect opportunity. One day, Fjolnir organized a brutal competition between the slaves. It looked like a game, but it was savage and violent. The rules were simple. The last person standing would win. Eventually, only Amleth and a massive opponent remained. As the fight reached its climax, Fjolnir's young son Gunnar accidentally ran into the chaos while chasing the ball. Without hesitation, Amleth saved the boy from being killed. That single action changed everything. From then on, he earned the trust of the people around him. His workload became lighter. His status among the slaves improved, and he was even given permission to choose a woman for himself. But none of those rewards mattered. Deep inside, there was only one thing driving him forward: revenge. One quiet night, Amleth met Olga in the forest. For the first time in years, the weight of his mission seemed to disappear. The two of them grew closer and formed a genuine connection in the middle of all the violence surrounding. Thanks to his new position, he gained access to more areas of the settlement and carefully learned the guards' routines. And once he understood everything, he finally made his move. That same night, the first attack began. 2 guards were murdered and their bodies were arranged in a horrifying display meant to terrify everyone who found them. At the same time, 2 more men were brutally tortured. And no one had any idea who was responsible. Fear spread quickly across the settlement. People during that era strongly believed in spirits, curses, and dark supernatural forces. Convinced that evil spirits were responsible, Fjolnir ordered the slaves to stand guard throughout the night. This was exactly what Amleth wanted. Working together with Olga, he secretly poisoned the food supply. The guards lost control of themselves and began attacking one another in confusion. The chaos only strengthened everyone's belief that something supernatural was haunting the settlement. While panic consumed the village, Amleth secretly entered the main house to finally confront his mother. But the truth he discovered shattered everything he believed. Instead of love or relief, Queen Gudrun revealed that she had never cared about Orvindil. She explained that she had once been a slave who was forced into marriage and treated like property. To her, Amleth was never a beloved son. He was only a reminder of the life she hated. Now the only people she truly cared about were Fjolnir and Gunnar. Then came the worst revelation of all. Gudrun admitted that she was the one who encouraged Fjolnir to murder Orvindil in the first place. For Amleth, the truth hurt more than any physical wound. Even so, he still could not bring himself to kill his own mother. Instead, all of his rage shifted toward Thorir. After leaving the house, Amleth found Olga and told her everything. He knew his identity would soon be exposed. There was no time left. He planned to escape, but not before destroying everyone responsible for ruining his life. The next day, Fjolnir discovered the body of his eldest son. His heart had been removed. Gudrun finally revealed the truth. This was not the work of spirits. Amleth was alive, and he had been hiding among the slaves the entire time. Enraged, Fjolnir began killing slaves at random while searching for anyone connected to Amleth. Eventually, he learned that Olga had been helping him. Just as Olga was about to be executed, Amleth appeared and launched a desperate attack. But he was badly outnumbered. He was quickly beaten down and forced to his knees while Olga escaped. From there, Amleth endured brutal torture. Fjolnir demanded to know where his son's missing heart had gone. But no matter how much pain he suffered, Amleth refused to speak. And as long as Amleth stayed silent, Fjolnir could not bring himself to kill him. That night, Fjolnir held a funeral ritual for his son. As part of the ceremony, a young girl was sacrificed. When the ritual ended, Fjolnir prepared to execute Amleth. But before it could happen, Amleth escaped with Olga's help. At that moment, Olga finally revealed the truth about herself. She was not just a slave. She was also a sorceress. She took Amleth to a mystical place where his wounds healed with unnatural speed. For the first time, Amleth began questioning the path he had followed his entire life. he realized that continuing his revenge could destroy Olga as well. So he decided to leave everything behind and escape with her. While sailing away together, Amleth kissed the wound on Olga's neck. And suddenly, he experienced another vision. He saw the future of his bloodline. A vision of the royal tree of Valhalla. In that moment, he understood that his legacy would continue through twin children born from Olga. Overcome with emotion, he learned that she was pregnant. But the vision also brought him a terrifying realization. As long as Fjallnir remained alive, Olga and their children would never truly be safe. And because of that, Amleth made his final decision. He would return and finish what he started. Even though Olga begged him not to go, his resolve never changed. He gave her his necklace, shared one final moment together, and turned back toward Fjallnir's stronghold. When Amleth returned, he showed absolutely no mercy. One by one, the guards were slaughtered. At the same time, the enslaved people were finally set free. Realizing the danger, Fjallnir ordered his family to flee. But Gudrun and Gunnar chose to stay behind and fight. Both of them were killed by Amleth. Seeing his family dead, Fjallnir carried their bodies away and challenged Amleth to one final duel at a place known as the Gates of Hell. Meanwhile, the freed slaves burned the entire settlement to the ground. The final battle had finally arrived. Amleth climbed the mountain and discovered the bodies of his mother and Gunnar lying near the base. Despite everything they had done, he still gave them one final moment of respect before moving on. Now with nothing left to lose, he entered the heart of the volcano and faced Fjallnir. The battle was savage. Amleth was already badly wounded and pushed far beyond his limits. Even after taking multiple strikes, he refused to fall. Using the last of his strength, he continued fighting until he finally struck Fjallnir down. But at the exact same moment, Amleth himself was mortally wounded. As he lay dying, he saw one final vision. Olga and their children, safe, alive, and finally beyond the reach of his enemies. After a lifetime filled with pain, sacrifice, and vengeance, the son of King Orvandil had finally fulfilled his destiny. His revenge was complete, and his bloodline would continue on into Valhalla.